Hello everyone, I'm back for another book review because I have just finished The Lost Heir. Of course, I have read it before, but since it is my least favorite Wings of Fire book, I thought it'd be a good chance, now that I'm halfway through the second arc, to go reread it and give it a second chance. Along with giving The Lost Heir a second chance, I'd like to give Tsunami a second chance because when my hate comes from Tsunami, it's usually from this book. So yeah, let's get right into it. Just if you want to know, I'll be using the same ranking system from my Winter Turning review, where basically I rank them all the categories separately, that being story, characters, and setting. I rank them all out of 10, and then I put them all together for a final ranking out of 30. Alright, let's get right into it and start with the story. Part 1 is just kind of trash, honestly. It basically serves no purpose, and even though it's only like 50 pages long, oh my god, it drags so long, bro. I get that it's realistic for the Dragonettes to be arguing and to have fights, but I don't like it. And Starflight trying to act like the leader, oh my god, I hate it. Like, it actually kind of hurts when I read it. For him trying to look like the leader, it hurts mentally and physically. I don't think that there should be a leader of the Dragonettes of Destiny. And if there is one, it's my goat Clay. My guardian angel, bro. Clay. I love Clay. But, again, to the point, I don't think there should be a leader of the Dragonettes of Destiny. And I can also accuse that against Tsunami because she tries to act like she's the leader all the time. Actually, I scratched that. She thinks it's her God-given right that she's the leader of the Dragonettes of Destiny. Nah, bro, get out. Yeah, part 1's pretty boring, and the characters just make me hate it so much more. Part 2 is slightly better, I guess. Getting introduced to Sea Wing culture is interesting, I guess. And the reveal that Gil is Tsunami's father, and that Tsunami, killed her father is pretty crazy, and it's actually one of the only reveals that I hadn't watched on YouTube, so it was actually, surprised me. I was like, holy crap, when I read that for the first time. So yeah, that was a pretty good reveal. But it does really, nothing for the plot. It could have made an interesting dynamic where, Coral finds out, and, that could have been interesting. But no, she just, thinks about it for a few chapters, and then boom, out of her mind for the rest of all of Wings of Fire. And then, of course, there's the infamous council meeting scene. I don't know, at least it's infamous for me. I think it kind of, frames everything bad about this book. It's just, so long, and it just drags on, and, there's nothing interesting about it. And it doesn't really serve the main plot at all. It's just kind of filler. I can't lie, part 3 did kind of clutch the story a bit. The statue fight scene is supposed to be kind of the climax, but it just feels kind of underwhelming to me. Honestly, some people think it's an amazing fight or whatever. I think it's average. I think it just doesn't really feel that intense. And while the Summer Palace bombing was definitely not needed, it was just kind of put in there for another scene. Because, let's be honest, this book has, no action scenes. I actually think it was pretty entertaining, to be honest. And then, of course, the whirlpool, yeah, I don't really want to get into that. He's a freak. I hate him. Worst character in the series. I'm just saying. I hate him even more than Tsunami, okay? Tsunami fans, the way I see it, that's a big hurrah for you. She's not my least favorite character. There's one more. But yeah. And I didn't really care about the crocodile reveal, but it was also pretty good. So yeah, that's about it for the story. Honestly, it had screwy pacing. It just went from one scene to another. It didn't feel like it had any real juice. So yeah, I'm gonna give the story a 5 out of 10. I do feel like all the scenes are pretty boring. It wasn't bad per se, but it wasn't great either. Though part 3 did kind of clutch up a bit. Alright, next we got the characters. I might go on a bit of a yap session with Tsunami. So yeah, let's get right into it. So, Tsunami. I would just clown on her in, like, every video. like, I just hate her. Until today. Okay? She's nowhere near my favorite. But I don't think she's as bad as I remember, okay? Like, let's just go through it real quick. So, like, part 1, I low-key hate her because she treats all her friends like nuisances and, like, not actual friends. And, like, she's just kind of, like, mean, you know? And then in part 2, she just absolutely ignores her friends to go live, like, the royal lifestyle or whatever. By the way, the royal lifestyle sucks. Just saying. But she does kind of clutch up in part 3 and at the end of part 2. She saves her friends. She says, like, sorries and stuff. And, like, she learns her lesson, you know? Pretty good character development there. Again, she's nowhere near my favorite, but she did get her redemption, in my opinion. I redeem her. Next, I'd like to talk about Coral. There's some Coral fans out there. First of all, I really don't like her. She doesn't treat her children nice. I don't care. Like, ooh, you could be like, ooh, she's just protecting them. That's not how you raise children. I wouldn't know anything about that, but I just know, you know. Also, I'd just like to put it out there that she is so freaking inconsistent. Like, it's not even funny. She feels like a freaking plot device. Also, first time we got to see Blister on screen. I think she's one of the more interesting Sandwing princesses, but yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna give the characters a 6 out of 10 as well. I don't feel like they're anything great or anything. Like, if I still didn't like Tsunami by the end of this book, it would be like a 4 easily. But I feel like Tsunami's like fine now. I don't like Coral, but again, 6 out of 10, it's pretty good. And for the last part, it's setting. Honestly, like, it's not that big of a deal, setting. It's kind of just like sprinkling on top. I don't take it that seriously. The Kingdom of the Sea, honestly, controversial opinion here, the Kingdom of the Sea is one of my least favorite locations. I don't know, it just kind of feels like hollow and lifeless. I didn't enjoy it that much. Maybe it's just because I didn't enjoy the story, and that kind of goes along with the setting. I don't know, but at least in this book, I didn't enjoy it too much. But I kind of like the Summer Palace, though. So, yeah, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. Overall, I am going to say there are some cool reveals, and all of the reveals, apart from the Orca statue reveal, I hadn't known before, like, on YouTube, so they were all actual reveals for me. And this is one of the only books where most of the reveals I hadn't known before, so that's pretty cool. The characters weren't as bland or as bad as I remember, so that's a plus. But there was a pretty bad story and bad pacing to go with that. And honestly, guys, controversial opinion over here, and I don't recommend it. I'm just saying if, like, you're in this circumstance, then it's not the worst. But honestly, this is a big problem with The Lost Heir, because it's just really not that connected to the main plot of the arc. But I genuinely think that it's okay to read the Dragonette Prophecy, the first book, and then skip to the Hidden Kingdom. Because, like, there's nothing that, like, you need to read in The Lost Heir to understand the rest of the books coming up. Like, there's some small things, but the overall story, again, I don't recommend it, but, like, it's possible. And that's a pretty big problem for The Lost Heir. And yeah, Tsunami lovers, I guess Tsunami isn't as bad as I remember. She does kind of fade into obscurity and nothingness after the first arc, but, you know, she had a good run. So yeah, altogether, I gave The Lost Heir a 15 out of 30. It doesn't get more average than that. So yeah, while I do think it's slightly better in the character department, I still do think it's just a mid Wings of Fire book. Again, good time to say that all mid Wings of Fire books are still amazing books compared to other books. I love all Wings of Fire books. It's just the worst of the best, you know? So yeah, that's about it. What do you guys think about The Lost Heir? Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.